All right, everyone, we should be live. Just a second here. Should only have one of these in. Just a moment. Let me check Rumble. And I've got my kitty with me. I don't know if you can actually see her. Oh, yeah, you can. You can definitely hear her. Just a moment here. Please stand by. State of the Union live reaction stream. Superchats enabled. Oh, come on. You can go live. Rumble appears to be having an issue here. No, we are live on Rumble. Okay, just a second here. Let me drag it down to the chat, which keeps going down to the bottom, of course, as usual. Chat is disabled. Wonder why. Is chat disabled on the YouTube stream? People can tell me. I am very tired, F YouTube 10.5. You can probably see it. I already took a shower and everything. Okay. Yeah, all right. I guess chat is actually working. Yeah, I'm a little bit tired, considering it's, what, 3 a.m., I think, here. So this is not my normal time of day. This is not my normal time of operation. But we have to take one for the team because we have to look at Joe Biden. And let me get my bingo card open. By the way, on Twitter, I did put a bingo card on there. Just a sec. Let me get this open. Oh, yeah. Expand that out. Yes, Kitty, yes. I'm trying. I'm doing the best that I can, Kitty. Yeah, brrr. Yeah, brrr. She's loving it. She loves that I'm up this late. Normally, she has to fly up and down the stairs at this time of night. Keeping me up, of course, but getting no attention for it. She is extremely happy. Let me get everything assembled here, though, because I am sharing, of course, cross-platform. I do have the White House stream open. So because I'm not used to this, because I haven't done a live stream like this in, what, a couple of months, I think, just give me a minute. I'm trying the best that I can. Okay, that's open. I can minimize that, I think. Okay, yeah, there it goes. Glad you made it, Cougar Kitty, says Darth Jason on Rumble. And Forsh on Rumble saying, Salty Army is Legion. Clank Army is also Legion. We are allies. We will be doing some super chats here, but mainly this is about, you know, watching Brandon make a fool of himself. So it's going to be pretty great. Oh, this is going to be the event of the year until midterms. And just think, on midterm day, I'll be live for probably 3 or 4 hours. So I'll be even more tired, even more ornery. But I've got energy drinks. These ones are made in the Netherlands. Yeah, Kitty, it's not normal for someone in their 30s to be drinking that shit at 2 a.m. But we've got about 15 minutes, supposedly, until the State of the Union begins. He will probably be late. That's almost a guarantee. That's it doesn't matter if it's Biden, Trump, Bush, anyone. They're always late to the State of the Union. He'll be talking mainly about Ukraine, I think. Here, let me check. Oh, no, they've changed it. Next up, State of the Union, President Joe Biden of the asterisk administration. Time for him to make a fool of himself and get eaten alive by people like me. Let me check, actually, just a sec. Oh, yeah. I knew that was going to happen. Just a sec here. Should probably put it in the other side. I'm a little bit tired. I'm doing the best that I can. Let me check this. Yeah. Well, there are over 17,000 people waiting to watch the live stream there. Let me put it in. I don't have the add-on on Chrome to actually be able to see the dislike count. I assure you I have not disliked this stream. It's about even right now. Tarl, Tree, Tim, and Crowder. We're getting spoiled for choice, says Free Golem. You should definitely be watching this stream. It's going to be pretty funny. I'm going to try to do the one-liners, but I am tired. I will admit that this is past my bedtime, so to speak. Yellow Turtle, have you played League of Legends? No, I haven't. I've heard of it. I've never played it. Don't even know what it's about. Is it like RuneScape? Probably. Adherent of Lady Columbia. Why the hell is the further right creaming their pants over Russia? I understand hating globalism, but the U.S. is not the head of globalism, people. Some of the far right is. Some of it's not. To be clear, that's basically a meme. The idea that the far right is Russia and, leftoids, I guess, support Ukraine. I support Western civilization. I want peace. This war shit is going to kill everyone, so I don't support it. Bondage Spider on Twitch. No comments allowed. No dislikes allowed. No fun allowed. Eat the canned corporate content. Live in the pod. Own nothing and be happy. Lazy Susan. Yeah, the White House stream does not have, nothing has dislikes, technically speaking. It doesn't have any comments open, and I'm thinking to myself, as far as U.S. citizens go, isn't that illegal? Aren't we allowed to weigh in on things? Anyway, let me briefly tell you my bingo card. This is the bingo card. You can find it on Twitter. Actually, I posted it the other day, so you can go back through. It won't take you long. Here's bingo, Joe Biden style, for the State of the Union. Awkward, lengthy pause as he stares into the crowd. Once again pitches the need for Build Back Better bill. Insults Putin or threatens him. I think that's basically a given. Says the big lie in reference to, the last election, honk honk, which was perfectly fine. Appeals to his Catholic faith. Thinly veiled attack on Manchin and Cinema. Claims Trump caused the invasion of Ukraine or helped Putin. Whispers into the mic to drive a point home. You know how he gets up close and starts whispering, and it's inexplicable. Mentions his SCOTUS pick and racial or gender justice. I think he'll probably do that. Preemptively blames bad economy on Russia sanctions. He did that days ago. I threw that in there because I figured that, if that tested well with his focus groups, he'll do it again. Come on, man, in quotes, of course. That's also a given. Self-applauds his job creation. The free space is dementia moment. I think that we'll probably see multiple dementia moments from Joe Biden in which he doesn't know what he's talking about, where he is, etc. He trails off and says weird shit. It'll be hilarious. Oh, man, I can't wait to tell jokes about that. Tells a story from his past. He's used to bringing up his dad, who apparently was a progressive back in the 50s or the 60s. He might bring up his mom or some cousin or something. Mentions record economic growth. This is a big thing. Politicians are usually very predictable. Not just Biden. I threw that in there because of this. Politicians in general, if they think that something has stuck in people's minds, they'll bring it up time and time again. I think the record economic growth, which is, it's not real, but he'll probably mention it anyway. Other than Ukraine, he doesn't have anything else to mention anyway, so he'll throw that in. Claims January 6th was an attempted insurrection. That's a Democratic favorite, so I can't see him not bringing that up. Brags about COVID response. Mentions variation of struggle for democracy, probably in the context of Ukraine. Claims he will do something about rising gas prices. He's done this multiple times. Apparently, strategic oil reserves for the second time are being unleashed. Multiple other countries are doing the same, so that's a no-brainer. Brags about sending military aid to Ukraine. Says, here's the deal. He likes to say that. I don't think that there's a speech over 10 minutes long where he hasn't said it. So again, probably a given. Talks about the need for electric cars or green energy. Coal-powered cars, but we'll get over that for now. Claims Trump controlled by Vladimir Putin. Because Putin is the eternal bad guy at the moment, probably he'll bring that up. Has a coughing fit or other visible health issue. He has this problem in almost 50% of the speeches that he makes. So we'll see if this is one of them. And mentions the need for unity or to unite. So that's the bingo card. Okay. I wish Rumble would fix its chat. To those of you on Rumble, I appreciate you greatly. I'm going to try to keep up with chat, but it can be difficult. Rumble has a problem. Jesus, I fucking can't get to it. Anthraxiomatic. Sticks, do you use Android for your mobile device? How do you preserve your privacy or, just a sec, or ungoogle yourself? I don't really use a mobile device. For the most part, I prefer desktop. We have YouTube chat. Cannonballer 2020. I switched from other YouTubers to you because I'm waiting for loads of naughty words and fun comments, like fuck or cunt. Don't worry about losing sleep. Got to be ready for the little one coming. No sleep for at least 4 years. Yes, I know. And so I don't worry about losing sleep tonight. I figure it's worth it. I get to watch a geriatric vegetable say weird shit, so it'll be great. This is going to be one for the ages, by the way. We've got 10 Biden loser units on YouTube already watching. Let me check how many people are watching on Rumble, actually. Harder to tell. Yeah, there's almost 2,000 people watching on Rumble. And Biden hasn't even started in with his goofy shit yet. It has started on C-SPAN, someone says. I'll refresh this tab, just a sec. Well, it does say live. I think Biden's going live shortly. Yeah, the shit's here, okay. Biden will be going live shortly to lie to the nation. I'm a little bit hoarse right now, too. Of course, it's 3 a.m. here, so I spent the last few hours listening to 80s music. Baron von Blair, watching crypto markets response with SOTU, Clank. Jimmy No Leaks, Boilerman, going to be a lot of whispering. Yes, I think that is that's on my bingo card. Jesus Christ. I'm like Joe Biden. Can anyone tell me, has the White House stream actually already gone live or something? I mean, I see it. It says live, but there's nothing there. And to Kion J, no, we're not playing any drinking games because we don't want to die of alcohol poisoning. Take a drink every time Joe Biden is coherent for 60 seconds. You'll be stone cold sober at the end of it. Yeah. Joe Biden will be late. I'm sorry, kitty. It's 3 a.m. I can't help it. I'm hyper caffeinated. I had a Monster, and then I have this energy drink as well. So, C-SPAN is showing the chamber. I don't give a shit about that. I just want to see Biden like ramble incoherently. Yeah. Wow. We're just waiting for Squinty Joe to show up. Try to get to some other super chats here before he goes live. Generalissimo Liberty. Hi, Sticks. Giving my 2 cents with Bidenflation. Maxim B. Sticks, did you give credit to Biden admin, at least in this? I hear they essentially exposed Putin's plans, which forced his hand. I don't think so. I would disagree. And State Wench 2, $5, no comment. Champion Magnus. Hey, Sticks, bought another book. Sadly, Biden's SIG goes on my grandma's deceased veteran letter. She just passed. Thanks for the vids. Could you shout her out wherever she may be? Thanks, Nancy Thomason. So shout out to Nancy Thomason, your grandma. Let's see. Yeah, Free Golem. Seems a lot of folks are trying to part with their liver tonight. Rip brave souls. Yes, do not do any Biden drinking games unless it involves taking a drink when he's coherent for an extended period of time. You will be very sober at the end of the night, and then you'll sleep well, and everything will be fine. Fuzzy Wanderer, suggestions for your daughter's nickname, Twiggy. Is that a Marilyn Manson reference? I believe it is. Beefy King, do you have any fear of staying in Europe? No, things are fine here. Other than the inflation. The prices are definitely skyrocketing. Kitty, I can't see the screen. I can't see the chats. Here, yeah, you go over there. Very, very sorry. This is what I have to deal with. Michael2535. I'm up late, jerkin. Hair is looking great tonight. Thanks for the visual. Yeah, I actually showered earlier, so it's nice and shiny. After this, I'm going to conk out completely. I'm going to crawl into bed and get very, very warm and comfy. The Secret Spaceship, $10. No comment, thank you. Walter Blackledge. Damn you, Sticks. You mentioned SimCity 3000 last week, and I had to play it. Now I'm 30 hours into it. Lol. Love your show. Yes, SimCity 3000 Unlimited. Very, very good game. One of the best of all time, actually, in my opinion. Yeah, Kitty, okay. If you lay down, that's fine, okay. The Tundra Terror. How do you upload your videos to multiple sites? I am using StreamYard at the moment. And we have about 4,000 people watching between YouTube and Twitch. And on Rumble. How many people are watching on Rumble, by the way? If I can fucking get to the feed. Kitty, you're making it really difficult. Yeah, there's 2,300 people already there. Sims 3 and 4 here, says Alexandra Spears. Yeah, this is SimCity we're talking about. It's a very, very wonderful game. Sticks, you're on the front page of Rumble. And your image is too small, says Buddy Weiser. Yes, I realize that. There's no way. I mean, I can do this. There, now you can see me in all of my glory. Now you can see Joe Biden in his ignominious lack of glory. We're still waiting for him. I mean, technically it's supposed to start about now, but we'll see. Come on, Joe. Come on, man. The Dashing Rogue. You are correct about Malpin. He is a Duganist shill. I have no clue what Duganist means, but Caleb Malpin, yeah, he's a shill. Jason Telesfero. Klaus Schwab praised Zelensky at the 2020 Davos Summit. Could this be the globalist move for another failed regime change in Russia? I don't think that any reasonable person believes that there's going to be regime change there. I think that that's probably bullshit. Like, Klaus Schwab knows that no reasonable person likes him, so keep in mind reverse psychology is a thing. Saeed Vazquez. Sticks, what do you think about Trump's comments on Putin being a genius? Well, he is. He waited until there was a weak leader of NATO, namely, Joe Biden, who's going to be speaking supposedly in a few minutes. He waited until that. The U.S. was destroying its own energy sector. That was smart. There's no other way to put it. Lib Hunter Z. What's the over and under for the longest brain fart pause? I have 8 seconds. I don't know that Biden will have a brain fart. I think it's fairly likely. That's why I put it on the bingo card. I think that it's likely that he'll have a medical issue, coughing fit or something like that. Fuzzy Wanderer. Twiggy as the 1970s model. Lol. Oh, I thought you were making a Manson reference. Shows where my mind is. The Sideshowman 212. Speaking of alcohol poisoning, I decided I couldn't get through this without a drink. I made myself a White Russian. You should have made yourself a Ukrainian. Blaster Clone. Here, have even more. Thank you for the money. JJ Lovecraft. Hi, Sticks. No comment, just love. Something Biden never had for anyone in his life. Kevs. Venezuela needs a peacekeeping mission. Yeah, apparently we can just follow in the footsteps of Putin, who sounds increasingly like George W. I've noticed this. I pointed this out on Twitter earlier. Putin reminds me of W after the invasion of Iraq. You've got the changing mission statement. First it was, hey, these breakaway provinces want to be independent. We're peacekeeping, which was a joke. We're going in order to secure their sovereignty. Then it was, well, Ukraine's full of Nazis. We have to denazify them. And there were a bunch of other reasons that have been, and then it was NATO has surrounded us. It forced our hand. It sounds a lot like fucking George W. Honestly, Putin's flown the coop at this point. He sounds like George W. Bush. Jimmy No Leaks Boilerman, $10. No comment, thank you. The Arcadian 300. You should make an alt-tech exclusive on Klaus Schwab's WEF. Half of Trudeau's cabinet is apparently on the World Economic Forum. Not surprising. Trudeau's nuts. They're all nuts. Phoenix. Hey, Mr. Hammer. Have you dibble-dabbled with Cosmos Network? It's a bunch of sovereign blockchains interconnected. Has crazy good DeFi. Thoughts? This is Dr. Rottenbeed signing out. No, I haven't heard of that. And now Biden, I believe, will be going live here pretty soon. Turn up the volume here. Come on, man. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Hey, Kitty, that's not a cat salad. Can he not eat the tree? Kitty. Psst. Whatever. I'm trying my best technologically here. You can send super chats. They will be in the live chat replay, but I won't be reading them out when Biden is speaking. I use that term loosely when he's rambling and pooping himself. It might take them a while to convene here. Of course, people are still milling around. Imagine being the poor sign language person with Joe Biden at the helm. Nancy Pelosi trying to call order in the House.
President of the United States.
Is that Al Sharpton? And he's not clapping? Well, sir, I do declare he is a white racist. This is going to be great, by the way, everyone. This is the best that we're going to get until the midterms. Can everyone hear, by the way, the audio of the live stream? Kind of low. There's nothing that I can do about it being low. Joe. Okay, I'm glad that you can hear it. Okay. I will periodically mute or pause the stream in order to, make my one-liners. There are about 5,000 people watching on YouTube. How many on Rumble, by the way? There are over 3,000 people watching on Rumble. By the way, join me on that platform if you haven't already. And you can see I have not disliked this video, just to be clear. I don't do preemptive disliking. It's against my principles. Is Nancy Pelosi going to rip up his speech like she did with Trump's, by the way? Is Joe going to sniff her?
I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Fuck you. Oh God, they got the subtitles. For the hearing impaired and for the seeing impaired. That poor sign language woman. Oh boy, is she gonna have a time of it. The state of our union is strong. Inflation don't matter.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much.
By the way, it's coincidental that the mask mandate ended literally today in Congress.
Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justice of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight,
and that was my doing.
Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny.
Vacuous sloganeering.
Thank you.
It sounds good till you parse it apart. Gotta have some unity in this country.
6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people.
The Ukrainian people that we didn't help at all and threw under the bus.
From President Zelensky, to every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies. Everyone from students to retirees to teachers turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine.
If you're able to stand, Greg Abbott need not apply.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My daddy could stand. I don't know if you can
Right,
stand.
she's strong and she's resolved.
And yes, Dylan, I do remember the ICQ Christianity chat room. Good times.
Yes,
Yes.
we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on,
But it doesn't matter if Keystone is built.
and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify.
Isn't it great that he gets to talk about this and ignore the economy and the border, by the way? It's totally coincidental, by the way, that the SOTU was pushed back to now at a record late date, only about a week after the invasion.
France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others, even Switzerland, are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
Yay, a new Cold War! Even the Republicans are clapping for this horse shit. What a bunch of weaklings, cucks.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks in the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin $630 billion.
Defending the Russian rumble.
We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who built billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more.
I say to my slush fund providers, no more. I've gotten plenty of your money. Go away. Stop troubling me.
The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets.
We're going to do what Bernie Sanders wants to do to the rich and powerful in this country.
That we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy.
So basically sloganeering and
He has
horseshit.
no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value.
Doesn't he sound like George W. Bush, anyone?
Percent of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
Yeah, Sherry Keeney has a good point on YouTube. I'm going to pause this for a second. What about the United States? This is all about Russia. I mean, it's not a surprise. Punt over to the Russia issue because he's got nothing domestic to talk about. Are you going to talk about inflation? What about the border? Jobs? Are you even going to self-aggrandize and lie to everyone and say that you had record job creation? We'll see.
But let me be clear.
Sounds like Bush after 9/11.
Not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries, including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch.
Every single inch that Russia would never dare to go after. I'm so strong. I'm going to challenge that bastard to a push-up contest.
Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans,
I'm already bored.
I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. A Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world.
60 million barrels of oil. That'll last about fucking a week. You realize how much oil we go through? He did this before, by the way, a couple of months ago. Remember when oil prices were rising? Oh, I freed up, 300 million barrels or something from the strategic reserves. It lowered prices by about 5 cents for a couple of weeks. That's basically what he's bragging about here, just to be clear.
America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserves.
30 million barrels.
And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies.
Burning off the oil that Trump stockpiled, actually.
Home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Well,
And Biden wants to take
While it
credit for
shouldn't-
that inevitable loss. That's what this boils down to. He's very glad that Russia invaded when
while
it
it
did.
shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine.
Again, we're like however many minutes into this, he hasn't mentioned anything related to the United States other than a response to Ukraine. He's trying to angle to be a wartime president for strategic purposes without actually getting into a war. He's hoping that people will forget about all of the other economic woes that he's caused, the border, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of this has to do with the union, by the way. Yes, you are correct, Captain Murphy. None of this pertains to the State of the Union. Exactly. Where is he talking about the United States? I thought he was the president of the U.S., not the president of Ukraine. Now, he doesn't give a shit.
In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle
He stands with the Ukrainians, not with the American people, just so that we're aware.
Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world.
I'm dismayed that he's getting so many claps from the Republican side of the aisle, by the way. I'm dismayed at the fact that they're cucking so much.
We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more.
Yeah. But it wasn't my fault. I didn't cause it by encouraging them lockdowns or nothing like that. It's Putin's fault. He's already preemptively blamed the sanctions for the rising costs, by the way. And he'll keep doing that too, as long as he's allowed to.
I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home.
Okay, there's another bingo card moment mentioning his dad, a story from his past.
Scranton, Pennsylvania, to find work. So like many of you,
My dad was a very progressive man. he believed in gay marriage back in the 1950s and told me it was just love. I mean, this dude's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This was scripted.
I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan because people were hurting. We needed to act, and we did.
People were hurting, so I spent $1 trillion and caused more inflation.
Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember,
it put food on the table for like 2 weeks. The average payment to an American family was insignificant, especially after Bidenflation set in. But Biden doesn't want to talk about that. This is, by the way, not abnormal for a State of the Union. Biden is taking credit for the few paltry things that he's done, which are partially just partisan stuff, and otherwise just things he's passed. He'll talk about the infrastructure bill, I'm sure, but they didn't really help anyone. This is common for a State of the Union. If times are good, like under Trump in the past, even under Obama's second term, you talk about, hey, things are good. If it's like with Joe Biden here and things aren't good, then you say, well, here's what I've done to make them less bad.
Those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk. It cut the cost of healthcare insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room.
Just a little
Unlike
bit
the
of
$2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous
As my dad used to say, you've got to sniff her hair, Joe.
administration that benefited the top 1%
Make sure
of
her
Americans. The American Rescue
pheromones are
Plan,
good.
the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks,
Let me ask why so many Republicans are clapping, by the way. Bunch of freaking cucks.
and it worked. It worked.
And it was bullshit, Joe. Fucking horse shit.
It worked. We created jobs.
I want to see the Republicans do a "Let's Go Brandon" chant, but they don't have the balls to do that.
Lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More.
Okay, there's another bingo card moment. Yeah, taking credit for jobs he didn't create. By the way, we're still short some jobs from before the lockdown risen. So, yeah.
Jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America.
Record job creation, 30,000 trillion jobs. Well, Joe, you didn't create any of those jobs. They were just returning from furlough after the lockdowns ended. That's all. That was state level. That wasn't even his fault, but it's certainly not his gain when they come back. Same with Trump. Trump doesn't get to take credit for the jobs that were created after the lockdowns began to end because there was no federal policy involved with that. That was state level.
The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy.
The cavalcade of lies.
In this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told the tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit.
Oh, I should have added trickle down as a mention to the bingo card. I apologize for my lack of oversight there.
That trickle down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know when the middle class grows, the poor go way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth. And now
he's going to talk about infrastructure. By the way, this is something that Trump actually talked about for years, and he could never get the funding to actually get the ball rolling. Biden got a little bit of it with the infrastructure bill, but Manchin and Sinema whittled it down. And now we might see a thinly veiled attack on Manchin and Sinema. That's possibly coming next.
Now, our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America.
Well, he just threw the leftoids under the bus. Remember that I think it was 9 House leftists, between 7 and 9, actually voted against the bill because it didn't include the larger Build Back bullshit component. And I think 12 Republicans voted for it, if I remember correctly, in the House. Talk about throwing the squad under the bus, Joe.
Single biggest
They're going
investment
to love that.
in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks.
Come on,
We're now
man.
talking about an infrastructure decade. And look,
I'm not going to waste your money for a few weeks. I'm going to spend decades fucking you in the ass, says Joe Biden.
it's going to
I'm going to fuck you until you love it, says Joe. Without lube, too.
transform America, to put us on a path to win.
We're going to transform America into a communist utopia a la Bernie Sanders and what he wants.
The economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
So basically, so far it's Ukraine, Putin man bad, and by the way, I want coal-powered cars. By the way, that green energy, that's not going to cut into the energy war against Russia that's pertinent to the Ukraine crisis. And by the way, Joe Manchin actually the other day pointing out, hey, we need to break our reliance on Russian oil. Maybe you should do something about that. Build Keystone. Biden hasn't mentioned that.
Replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide.
If only we had taken out the lead pipes in Delaware many, many years ago, we wouldn't have to deal with Joe Biden being retarded.
Provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American, rural.
Every American will have high-speed internet access. We're going to continue to use Amy Klobuchar to convince big tech to ban people from it, but it'll be there.
Suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair.
By the way, that's a drop in the bucket of what exists in the United States. Yeah, here's a standard SOTU. A standard State of the Union is, here's what I did. This State of the Union is, here's what I want to do. It'll all get blocked by, the Senate, but here's what I plan to do. That's not a normal State of the Union, but I bet that this will get rave reviews from the goofballs in the legacy media. Well, he came out hard against the Russians. And he laid out a good plan for how to strengthen the United States. That's what MSNBC will be saying within the next 30 minutes or so.
And folks,
look at those lemmings clapping. They don't even know what they're clapping for.
when we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying American. Buy American products.
Talk about the biggest goddamn bullshit statement so far. Yeah, those solar fields that you're going to use for the, the electric cars, the lithium for the batteries, that'll come from the United States, not from China. No. We don't need Chinese lithium or anything like that.
Support American jobs. The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it.
Yeah, made with Chinese components and materials.
But folks, to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams. The ground in which America's future will be.
You'll see a field of dreams if you see this empty, fallow land. No, it could be a nice garden, probably. You could sell the land. I don't know, you could grow trees on it or something. Maybe there's oil underneath it. But you'll see a field of dreams. Dreams that the average person will never have because of Bidenomics. They're not going to have the money to invest to take that 1,000 acres and turn it into anything manageable. But Biden doesn't want to tell you that.
Built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite, up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place.
Wow, 8 whole factories. It's going to change the whole U.S. economy. Wow. Fucking 8 factories. China calls that a single weekend's work.
10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip. The power of
Jake of all trades 111. Field of dreamers. Yeah, that pretty much sums up the domestic component of this speech. The first 10 minutes was nothing but Ukraine. I'm surprised he didn't ruminate on that longer. He still hasn't mentioned inflation, by the way. He'll probably mention it and then blame Russia at some point.
The world and everyday life.
Yes, and it is pointed out by Istari. Trump announced those factories a long-ass time ago. Yes, indeed. I do believe that I recall that. Trump cleared the way for most of what Biden is talking about as far as taking credit, including NATO spending, Germany rearming, factories, infrastructure. Trump talked about all of these things. He was stonewalled repeatedly by Congress, including some congressional Republicans. Biden, meanwhile, nobody's stonewalling him, so he gets to take credit for it, I guess.
From smartphones, technology, the internet, technology.
And AGK, you're talking way too much. Oh, trust me, I'm much more interesting than Joe Biden. That's why most people are watching at the moment. Who the fuck wants to watch Joe Biden speak, except to be jabbed by one-liners? Half of the people in that crowd don't want to watch him speak. That's why they're not applauding.
Technology is yet to be invented, but that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who was here tonight. I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go. Pat, stand up.
Pat, stand up. If you can stand. Are you Greg Abbott?
Pat. Pat came to see me and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from 20 billion to 100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer. Send it to my desk. I'll sign it.
Fucking
and we'll
vote
really
for my
take
shit.
off in a big way.
Please, Manchin. Please, Cinema. That almost is a bingo moment, by the way. That's a thinly veiled swipe at Manchin and Cinema. Please vote for this. Put it before my desk. Just give me several $1 trillion for me to fritter away.
Folks, Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing.
Why is he even talking about this? If I were his speechwriter, if I were one of his staffers, I wouldn't even tell him to address this. Nobody actually believes that Joe Biden is leading to a revolution of made in America or anything like that. It's clearly not true. It's not even plausible. Why even bring it up? If anything, it's self-deprecating.
Using to build new factories here, when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history, $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan.
I'm so glad that more coal-powered cars will be on the road, by the way. All these green so-called NIMBYists, they're nuts.
All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone.
Fact check, false.
Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says, it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing.
If he had delivered that better, it actually would have been a good line. He just flubbed that so bad. And that is another bingo moment, by the way.
And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel.
Okay, he's mentioned inflation. We're going to see where he goes with this. Probably blaming somebody else and saying, don't worry, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Yeah, and he does not explain exactly in a free market situation how he can unilaterally command prices to go down or why they should go down, considering the fact that the amount that's actually charged is worth less and less. So he's hoping that people that are watching are just fucking retards and don't understand economics.
Folks,
look at the Karen glasses there, by the way, in the middle. Hee 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 hee. Bill Maher glasses. Oh, there's another one down there, yeah.
that means make more cars and semiconductors in America. More infrastructure and innovation.
If they're made in America, they'll cost more, though, Joe, because of hyper-regulation.
In America. More goods moving faster and cheaper in America. More jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America. Look,
he does the made in America almost like America First thing. But he never actually says what he'll propose to cause that to happen. The prices aren't going to magically fall because you ask nicely for businesses to please make more things. Please use more U.S. components. Oh, your prices went up by 10%? Oh, it's not my fault. Yeah, fucking I green-lighted these regulations. That doesn't matter.
Look,
Yeah, he's trying to out-Republican the Republicans.
economists,
It's not going to work. See, now they're doing a W-style chant.
economists call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America.
Okay, there's another bingo card. Having a little bit of a smoker's cough or whatever the fuck that is there.
My plan to fight inflation will lower your cost and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures.
That's a lie.
Top business leaders.
That's even been fact-checked by fucking Snopes, to be clear. That is a lie. Yeah, they contacted some of those so-called Nobel laureates, and a lot of them had no clue what was even being referred to.
Most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs.
How, Joe?
We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes.
Reminder that Trump actually moved to cap the price of insulin. Joe Biden's administration, one of the first things they did, I think it was in May of last year or something, they removed that rule, that preliminary ruling to try to cap the price. That was removed by the Biden administration. Oh boy, that's going to age well under fact checking.
In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis.
And Joshua's missing 7 of his toes due to diabetes.
He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes, which means
I really love Joshua. I love the way he smells. Kind of fruity, like orange soda.
Need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it.
Imagine looking at your child and saying, I'm sorry, but Joe Biden has decided to remove the potential cap on insulin prices. So you're not going to be able to eat. So you don't have to worry about the diabetes because you're not going to be eating anything for the next 3 days, thanks to Joe Biden.
What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye, to be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know?
Yeah. Joe Biden thinks about 13-year-old boys religiously, it sounds like. That's the problem.
Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, bud.
Joshua's here tonight, but, you know, tomorrow he might not be here because I fucking removed the insulin price cap. Sorry, Joshua. Go fuck yourself.
By the way.
Happy birthday. It might be your last, Joshua. Hail Joe Biden.
For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month. So
why are people cheering this? The cap was already there. It's sort of like when, I mean, he might take credit for leaving Afghanistan too. He's done that before. That was brokered by Trump too. Trump, all of the things that Joe Biden so far has laid out, insulin price cap or drug price cap in general, all of these other things, they were initially greenlit by Trump. Trump was the one that did these things. He's effectively attempting to take credit for the Trump administration's successes while casting them off as his own. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, at some point if he mentions the child tax credit. That was another Trump program, and he's, I think 3 or 4 times on Twitter he's mentioned this. Donald Trump doubled the child tax credit. Biden moved it to a front-end credit as opposed to a write-off. It's the same amount, but you get it in check form at the beginning instead of the end of the year. And he's claimed that that's reduced child poverty by 50%. Well, Trump did that. So Trump reduced child poverty by 50%, and Biden decided to start trying to take credit for it. It'll be the same thing with this insulin bullshit. It's the same thing.
Everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs.
Yay, a perennial issue the Republicans and Democrats both harp on and never actually deliver on. Even Trump never actually delivered on that one. That'll never happen. They don't want negotiation of prices.
They already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue.
Oh, they set the price for VA drugs. You mean the VA that was absolutely dysfunctional for several decades and was literally a national embarrassment until, oh, guess who? Trump decided to go in and reform them. And now it's at least metaphorically reasonable.
The plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it.
That's the first sane thing that he's actually said. By the way, a lot of states actually had that. Vermont had similar credits until fairly recently. Can't argue with that.
Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks.
But then he veers off into coal-powered car land.
Third, the third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of childcare. Cut the cost of childcare.
I've got an idea, Joe. You like children so much, people can just pay you less than minimum wage to watch their kids. You know, when they come home, they might have their ass might hurt or something like that. But, you know, at least they save money, right, Joe? That's what we're all about.
Folks.
Yeah. Someone needs to do a fact check. Go through and compare what Biden is saying, the things he wants to do or the things he claims he has done, and then go through the Trump administration's term and see the matchup there. Because so far, I'm seeing a half a dozen goddamn things that he's either taking credit for or saying he wants to do that are straight out of the Trump playbook. And leftoids, by the way, they're oblivious to this. They're too stupid to understand what's going on. Joe Biden is a typical politician. He's trying to take credit for things that other people did. And he realizes he does an A/B testing like a focus group like Hillary Clinton does. He realizes something sounds good to people. And so he says, well, it was my idea. Nobody else ever thought of it before. Oh, weatherizing your homes, and nobody's ever suggested that before. Removing lead pipes, no state ever took initiative on this. It's strictly a federal program. Yeah, it wasn't Trump that talked about an insulin cap. It was my idea the whole time.
If you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though.
Yes, Joe. You were a single dad raising 2 kids. You had a 6-figure salary. Back when that meant something, by the way.
I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan would cut the cost of child care in half for most families.
Now, again, is Biden actually going to flesh out how that happens? Or is it just a vacuous statement? I'm going to cut the cost of childcare. Okay, well, how? What specific proposal in any of the bills that you've fronted that have a hope of passing is actually going to accomplish that? This is almost like Joe Biden just attacking Manchin and Sinema relentlessly for not passing Build Back bullshit, despite the fact that it's not even clear, based on what Biden is saying, how that would actually impact these things. It doesn't surprise me. It would surprise me more if he had something substantive to say.
And help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford childcare, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and
Joe Biden, get women back into the cubicle 2022.
long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs for families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes.
That is fact check pants on fire. Joe Biden even admitted that that did not necessarily apply to people who were married that were filing. That only applies to single individuals, number one. Number two, it's misleading, and I don't believe it anyway. Number three, with the lapsing of the Trump tax cuts, virtually all Americans will pay more taxes anyway, especially people like me who earn self-employed income. Trump very generously gave us an up to 20% write-off on our mainline taxes because we pay a 15% above board penalty. If I make $100K in a year, I pay fucking $15,000 extra dollars up front. No questions asked. The government penalizes me just for having self-employed income. Trump gave me a 20% write-off on qualifying income for this. It offsets a chunk of that. It's not all of it, sadly, but it's reasonable. It's a saving of several thousand a year. Biden is going to let that lapse. In a couple of years, when it has fully phased out, unfortunately, I'm going to have to pay thousands of extra dollars every year. My taxes will rise. I do not make $400,000 a year, sadly. If I did, I guess I'd be in the donor class that he actually gave a fucking shit about. Unfortunately, I'm not at that point yet. So I need more Subscribe Star patrons or something.
Not a single
before
penny.
Biden will give a fuck. I'm going to be Joe
I may
Biden.
be wrong, but my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to.
The present tax system ain't fair. And he regresses into trying to be a Scranton boy or something like it's the 1960s. Yeah, no, it's not, Joe. People like you pay almost nothing. I think, what was his effective tax rate? I think that he released his tax forms. What was it in 2016? I think they said with Biden, his effective rate was 22% or something. Shit, I wish I could pay 22%. That'd be lovely.
To fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody. Well, let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share. Look.
Yeah, let's penalize them for succeeding. Everyone knows that the money should go to the government. It'll use it more efficiently, more wisely than the corporate leaders will. Of course, he never mentions business taxes or any of the other taxes that they're due because they do business, only personal income taxes. We're going to make Elon Musk pay more than 0% on personal income taxes because we're hoping our fans are too stupid to understand basic economics.
Last year, like Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined.
He said it best. He comes from corporate America.
6 years in a row. The point is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes.
Fact check, that is true. They didn't pay personal income taxes on business income. They paid business taxes. and a million other fucking taxes. That's the whole problem. That's why they offshore. They wouldn't offshore if they paid 0% taxes on their income. Would they be offshoring their money? It's basic common sense, Joe. No reasonable person believes you. But I mean, your fans aren't reasonable people, so you won't lose any of them by lying to them. They'll just they gobble down his shit.
Now look, it's not fair. That's why I proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations. We've got, and that's why in the G7 and other meetings overseas, we're able to put together, I was able to be somewhat helpful, 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate. So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas.
See, a fact check misleading. Okay, 30 countries decide to have a global minimum tax rate. What about the other roughly 160 countries in the world? They won't accept offshoring. Somebody will. But Biden doesn't give a shit about that because this isn't about taxes. This is about control.
Raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan.
Yes, believe it or not, Elon Musk, whose income is almost entirely from his investments, is going to pay less personal federal income taxes than a teacher who makes a salary because they're not taxed in the same way. The federal income tax isn't going to apply to the business transactions the same way. He has to pay a different kind of tax, which is pretty significant. He paid billions of dollars, much more than Biden paid.
But we have to go more detail later. We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families. So
lower the cost of families. Yeah, Hillary Clinton lowered the cost of families. You can buy a whole one over in Libya for about $500, and Biden's planning to do the same, I'm sure, in some random Middle Eastern country in the next year or two.
Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes.
Families are cheap under Joe Biden's leadership. I just bought 5 of them. It only cost me about $1,000, and put them in the salt quarry or something.
And while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation. My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very
Joe Biden's going to start a GoFundMe to buy Libyan children. Hillary Clinton made him really, really cheap, so take only an afternoon to raise enough money for it. Oh, he'll be in hog heaven. Then he'll go to Haiti, or Little St. James Island or something. There's a reason why that Jean-Luc dude, Jean-Luc Brunel, is dead.
Very wealthy corporations.
Just saying.
Undermine the watchdogs, the job of those.
Chuck Fig, what train wreck have I missed so far? Oh boy, you're gonna have to go back and watch the entire thing. It's been pretty bad, but I guarantee he'll get glowing reviews from the legacy media. In all honesty, so far he hasn't had any major stumbles in coherency. Only a couple of his normal stuttering moments. That's a victory to him somehow.
To keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? But in my administration, the watchdogs are back.
The watchdog people are going to watch you. If you send over $500 from your bank account, we're going to make sure the IRS has a paper on you.
And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. Tonight, I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud.
Reminder that Joe Biden got shot down by the courts. This is a fact check. That is not fact checkable. I guess he's going to do it if he wants to. You remember when he wanted to give out aid to small farmers and he wanted to prioritize based on race. He did this with restaurants as well and was shot down by by state Supreme Courts, federal courts on 2 different occasions because, of course, that violates equal protection under the law. Interesting. Yeah, his prosecutor will do such a good job. It'll be so, it won't be lopsided at all. Pandemic fraud.
Look, I think we all agree, thank you. By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your cost also meant demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities. That's it. You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers.
So basically, Biden wants to undo economic damage from his allies, from the lockdowners, by punishing private companies that sought to actually supply the demand. I guess that's what this boils down to. He's been smoking some of Hunter's good stuff, I think. Again, he'll still get rave reviews from MSNBC, etc. I was hoping that he'd have some sort of major coughing fit or something like that. At least then there'd be a moment of excitement. So far, this is not even a State of the Union. They'll praise it. Where is he talking about what he accomplished? He's talking about what he wishes he could do, but he can't because he doesn't have the votes in the Senate. And then briefly talked about Ukraine. That's it. That's the only thing so far. We're almost an hour in. That's all he's talked about.
Folks,
when's he going to address the union? What
Wall
state are
Street
we
firms
in?
take over more nursing homes.
Yeah, state of the he's in a state of confusion.
In those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep
he's going to be looking at your loved ones very, very closely when he visits that Medicaid facility. Especially the female ones, although, yeah, he tends to be kind of indiscriminate, as we've seen.
Economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend the child tax credit so no one has to raise a family in poverty.
So he's throwing a few crumbs to the leftoids in the crowd, so that they won't call him out after the speech. He's not going to deliver that. Has he mentioned student loan debt forgiveness, which was the holy grail of the AOC crowd, even once during this? And of course not. He's made it clear that that won't be happening, which I actually agree with him on. That's not wrong, but he did make promises to the leftoids when he was campaigning and getting them to knock on doors and vote for him and so forth.
Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest in what Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best kept secret, community colleges. Look.
So we've gone from free community college to we're going to provide more money for community colleges. Yeah, that's really going to get Elon Omar and AOC to congratulate you, especially when neither of these things passes. You don't have the votes in the Senate, so what's the point of even fucking bringing it up? Some of this has been self-deprecating on his behalf. Almost feel sorry for him at times.
Let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped. When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time: build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our.
Again, I will reiterate this really briefly. Typically, in a State of the Union, you talk about what you have accomplished, and then you lay out the groundwork of a few more things that you want to do. He has ignored the former part of that entirely because he hasn't accomplished anything, and now is off on his weird pipe dream where he's talking about all of the things that he already spoke about wanting to do immediately. He got stonewalled on in the Senate, even by Democrats, and can't pass. What's there? What the hell does this have to do with the State of the Union? This is more of a campaign speech than anything else. This is his way of saying, hey, if in the midterms we don't get completely fucking crushed, here's what I want to do in the next few years. That's what this boils down to. This is not a State of the Union address. This is, by the way, this is not normal. I want you to go back and watch 2 or 3 randomly chosen State of the Unions from the last 20 years. They're all on YouTube. They're all on other sites. Watch a few of those and see how they match up against what Biden is saying now. Not just what he's saying, but the things, the kind of things that he's talking about. It's like night and day. I've had to watch all the State of the Unions now for years because, you know, I have to analyze politics and stuff, and people expect that as sort of a living. This is highly abnormal, the way that he's going about this. This is not a typical State of the Union address. It's not really about the State of the Union. The first part's about a foreign country. It makes sense in the context of the U.S. response in Ukraine or something like that. The latter part, the last 3/4 of this, have been about what he wants to do. It's not about what was done or what should have been done. It's not about anything in the past tense. It's about, well, we need to pass this bill. We need to take up this particular line on this particular issue. In the future tense. In the future, we need to do this. We can't, but, you know, this is something that I want to do. That's basically an admission that he has accomplished nothing. That's essentially what that is.
Our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted.
Yes, Joe, I'm very tired. It's like 3 a.m. here.
That doesn't even
He is
count.
correct for
Close
once.
to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair because they lost somebody. But I also know this: because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to a more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against.
Yes, Joe, the CDC just revised its guidelines, removing most of the United States from the red zone in the COVID map. And the mask mandate just happened to end a day ago, actually, for Congress, which is very, very helpful because otherwise you'd be in a mask right now delivering the State of the Union. Well, I mean, you've shifted the guidelines, but, you know, it hasn't. I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with the disease itself. So it's Biden's way of trying to claim victory, which was predictable.
Against COVID-19.
Even his own fans
severe
saw through
cases
it,
are
though.
down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And
Yeah, just yesterday, Joe. Coincidental, right before the State of the Union. Amazing how that works. And it's just like Russia decided to invade Ukraine a week before the State of the Union. That is also coincidental. So many coincidences lining up. Just, I mean, it's a miracle. Yeah, it's a total coincidence.
based on projections, more of the country will reach a point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus. as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view. First,
I don't really care. Yeah, are you going to mention the fact that it came from a biolab in China? Doubtful, since they have dirt on you. That's why you're not willing to sanction the Chinese government either through SWIFT.
stay protected with vaccines and treatments. We know how incredibly effective vaccines are. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. We'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has. Pfizer is working overtime to get us 1 million pills this month and more than double that next month. And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost. Folks,
do you mean the pills that shall not be named because probably they're still banned from mention on YouTube where I'm streaming? They may very well be.
if you're
It's Biden saying it, YouTube, not me. Don't ban me, bro.
Immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've already ordered free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to covidtest.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests. Second, we must prepare for new variants. Over the past, we've gotten much better at detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if Congress...
100 days instead of months. How many days are in a month, Joe? Basic math failure. I wonder why he doesn't understand economics.
...presides the funds we need, we'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed. I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third,
we're going to give free drugs to people. If you're smoking, the heat probably filters out the virus.
we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school.
Interesting, because I remember Biden and people like Joe Biden over a year ago saying that was basically homicide, that would kill kids and they would all be destroyed. Does that have anything to do with the Oxford study or any of the other, I think Johns Hopkins and some of the others, saying that the fact that remote learning was taking place was stunting people's intellectual growth to a significant degree, thus creating a generation of people who are going to be fucking hot-wired to go crazy around the time they get into puberty. They're 13, 14 years old and they start shooting schools up or something. Guarantee that's going to happen, by the way. You'll get some Timmy McVeighs and people like that from that generation. It's really sad. Just remember, if I'm the one in the crosshairs, I tried to stop it. I spoke out against it. It'll happen, unfortunately. And people like Biden will be responsible, but they won't take responsibility.
With 75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated and hospitalizations down by 77%, most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom. and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to...
It costs money that you don't have, but I'm taking it anyway because, yeah, pieces of cloth.
soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again. So I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on earth. We won't stop because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases.
He was trying to take a swipe at Trump there. Did you just hear that? You can't build a wall high enough. He meant you can't build a wall high enough to stop the virus. Instead, he starts talking about a wall to stop a vaccine. Oh, boy. That would have been fairly effective. I mean, that's red meat to his base, the liberal base, the Democrats. That would have been pretty good, at least to your fans. How do you fuck that up, Joe? Oh, boy. Jesus Christ. Oh, you Fun12 says, missed it. Fuck. Just go back. Trust me, it's worth it rewinding by a minute or something. That was great. Oh,
we've lost
boy.
so much in COVID-19. Time with one another.
And that's the second time that he's tried to deliver a line that would have been reasonably poignant, at least, to people who are already inclined to agree with him. It would have gotten them going. That one would have been better than the first. And he fucked it. Whoops. Yeah, MSNBC will not be covering that part of the speech, by the way.
The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease.
Made by
Let's
China.
Stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are.
Okay, that technically counts as a bingo card square there, talking about unity. That's basically the same thing. He's talking about unifying people. Don't see each other as enemies. We're all in this together.
Americans.
That counts.
Look. We can't change how divided we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Moore was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets
and guns bad.
Chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices, and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety.
Or as AOC likes to call it, defunding the police and replacing them with social workers.
Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies.
So I guess defund the police is off the table. Hire more police. Interesting. Is Elon Omar going to issue a rebuttal about this? Say how it's racist?
Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police, it's to fund the police.
Well, that's Joe Biden attacking the left wing of his party. I don't disagree with him, although I think that we definitely need police reform, considering how fucking authoritarian the United States has become. But that's a little bit of a deviation from what you heard even from him last year.
Fund them. Fund them.
We need more cops. I need to crack some fucking skulls because people don't like me. There might be a trucker protest. Oh, Jesus, we need more cops. Quick, go on a hiring spree. We need more money for them programs.
Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced.
Joe definitely hopes that people don't realize that you can mill those things yourself, by the way, receivers.
I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why?
Well, Joe, because the fact that you've put them on an arbitrary list without due process does not deprive them of their Second Amendment rights. That's the short answer. Same thing as like the no-fly list, which is also unconstitutional. The idea of preventing someone from exercising their right to movement, their right to speech, their right to own a gun, etc., because you suspect that they might commit a crime is horseshit.
Why?
Sounds like W bullshit to me.
And folks,
he sounds like W, except obsessed with guns instead of obsessed with the idea of people flying.
ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines hold up to 100 rounds.
So ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines. Okay, which one? An assault weapon, so-called, because you're not using the right terminology, a sporting rifle that you call an assault weapon can use a 5-round magazine. It can also take a belt, potentially. Which one are you going to ban? The high-capacity magazine? Well, SCOTUS might have something to say about that, and the federal government can't do it at all. So,
you think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look.
No, Joe, I think that the enemies of the United States that could potentially invade may be wearing them. I think that if someone attacks my home, they might be wearing a Kevlar vest. They might be wearing worse than that. They might have rifle armor. Another thing that Joe Biden doesn't understand, body armor. Democrats in general are fucking ignorant of these things. That's why they tend to be Democrats.
Repeal the liability shield. It makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one.
Gun manufacturers can be sued if the product malfunctions, the same as with anything else. If I drive over you with a Ford, you can't sue Ford Motor Company. If I accidentally drive over you because the brakes malfunction, you can potentially sue. If the gun accidentally goes off because of a factory defect, you can probably sue. If I'm just stupid and I decide to shoot someone, they can't sue the gun manufacturer because I obtained a firearm. There's no difference in the law between gun manufacturers and other companies. Yes, it is being pointed out, actually, by Comic Guy 71 on Twitch. Actually, Big Pharma can't be sued. Yes, indeed. They are indeed the one industry that you can't sue for malpractice. Not gun companies. Pharma.
Imagine had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives.
It doesn't infringe on the Second Amendment to tell you how many bullets you can carry or to destroy all of the gun manufacturers in the United States. That doesn't. The founders would have agreed with me, says Joe.
The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote. and have it counted. And look, it's under assault. In state
The right to vote is under assault by voter ID laws.
after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen.
Yeah. Is YouTube going to ban Joe Biden for claiming that elections can be subverted? Because I thought that they were all ironclad and perfect.
Tonight, I call on the Senate to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act.
They're not going to pass it, Joe.
And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our elections. Look, tonight, I like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. I'm sorry that I'm replacing you with someone who was chosen explicitly and self-proclaimedly because of the color of their skin.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand, let them see you. Thank you. And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court. As I did 4 days ago.
Okay, I hate to say this, but number one, it's getting later. I've gone for almost 2 hours now. It's almost, 4:30 a.m. Number two, this is beyond the pale, and it's kind of predictable and dry and boring anyway. I'm interested in seeing what MSNBC and CNN will do to claim that Joe Biden actually did a good job here. By the way, let me really quickly here. Let me see if there's anything collated on the RCP. I'm not going to play the next 20 minutes of that. I'm not going to fucking listen to his bullshit anymore. There's nothing yet. So tomorrow there will probably be a little bit of a write-up with regards to the State of the Union. Pretty predictable. A win for Biden in the sense that he didn't make any glaring mistakes, I suppose. The problem is, again, let me reiterate this. It wasn't really a State of the Union. It was about what he wants Congress to do, number one, what he wants to do in general, number two, and number three, Ukraine, which he touches on in the first 15, 20 minutes. It's not really about anything that he's accomplished other than, hey, we passed an infrastructure bill. Hey, I nominated someone to the Supreme Court. I did my job, right? Hey, guys, that's not really a normal State of the Union. That's not normally the way that they work. Normally, it is about, here's the things I did, here's the things I want to do, and then you touch on, potentially diplomatic world events, which, I mean, he does with Ukraine technically. But he didn't really do that. I think it's beyond the pale. I'm a little bit confused as to what the purpose of this is. That being said, I know that he'll be roundly applauded by the legacy media. They'll love it because, of course, they always love everything Joe Biden does. It's like they're coprophiliacs and, he poops everywhere and they gobble it up like his dog probably would. That's basically the way that Joe Biden operates, eating shit and pooping everywhere. And the bitches at the legacy media, they gobble it up. But yeah. Fuck this. I'm not willing to go through the rest of that. It's this was a shit show as far as State of the Unions go. But again, no major glaring grammatical mistakes. Like he trailed off a few times, but was coherent by Joe Biden standards. That's a win. He didn't get out of the unity bullshit sort of thing that he was meant to go on and start attacking people. That's technically a victory. Although he made some insinuated swipes at Manchin and Sinema, especially more than the Republicans, actually. That was slightly unexpected. That's basically the only excitement here. The only excitement here was me and other people doing a live stream reaction insulting him and Joe Biden not fucking up too badly. In that sense, I suppose the State of the Union's a victory. The problem is it's not technically a State of the Union at all. He didn't really address the State of the Union, because if he addressed the State of the Union, he'd have to say, well, the economy sucks, the border is completely porous, and everything's fucking fucked up, and I had a hand in creating that situation. Well, he can't do that. So he had to talk about other things. I'm sure he's very glad that he got 10, 15 minutes of Ukraine talk into it, because then he can look presidential. He's very happy. I expected him, honestly, to ruminate on Ukraine more. I expected that to be probably the main keynote of the speech. While he moved it to the front, it was only 10, 15 minutes of it. Honestly, a little bit surprising. So, yeah, there's the State of the Union live reaction going almost 2 hours, and at like what? I don't even know what time it is, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You got to realize I am in the Netherlands, so it'll be dawn in a couple of hours. Yeah. If I were in Eastern time, if I were in EST, like normal, like if I'm in Vermont, I'd probably go a little bit longer. I might actually decide to cover it all, but I mean, I'm just too bored. Honestly, watching Joe Biden speak is worse than watching paint dry. He's not a very good speaker. He's not very charismatic. I will give him that, though. He didn't fuck up too badly. That's the only thing positive I can say about it. So yeah, I'm going to go off now. I didn't get to all the super chats. Obviously, I had to live react to Biden. I realized that this was not a super chat Q&A. Those will resume, of course, this coming Saturday and Sunday. Again, cross-platform, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. I thank you all for joining me. This was fun. It's just really, really tiring, and at times a little bit boring. I think I would rather watch pretty much anyone else in the world talk other than Joe Biden. That's about all. Peace out.